Hey, what's happening, friends? It's Lucas here, and it has been ages since I uploaded a YouTube video. It's like almost a year. It's kind of crazy, kind of ridiculous, and I apologize for being gone so long. But this evening, I was on a call with a friend of mine, and I was, strangely enough, trying to motivate her to create more content and to tell more stories. And we got talking and I got thinking like I really got to create more content and to tell more stories. I've been pretty active over on Instagram, lots of stories going up on there, but they only last 24 hours. They don't get out there in the world, they don't live on, and I can't come back to them like I can with stuff on this YouTube channel to tell stories. But I've been thinking a lot about like why haven't I been making YouTube videos and why haven't I been telling a whole lot of stories lately? And it hit me. It's because not all has been well in my world. I'm doing fine. It's no problem. But I've hit some bumps recently, and I found myself kind of a little bummed out, a lot bummed out sometimes. And I was thinking about why that was and why I was feeling unhappy. And it occurred to me recently that I've been chasing this feeling of this real high, this happiness at a level that I had never experienced before in my life, that I've been experiencing through various periods of the last 3, 4-ish years. And I was chasing this extreme high, and I was bummed out because I had kind of come down from that. Like everything was still good, I was still happy, life was still moving forward, but I wasn't at this peak state that I had been in so recently. And because of that, I was kind of like, oh, I'm a little bit bummed out. I'm a little bit less happy with how things are going in my life than I could be. And that's when this thought occurred to me. And it's a concept that I'm working on in a little more in depth that I want to talk about a little more in depth another day. But it's this concept that life happens in the middle. I spend all this time working towards happiness, and I got to this extreme, and then I was unhappy that I couldn't reach that extreme with regularity. And because of that, I forgot to be content with where I was in the middle, not super up, not super down, just happy and good with life. But it didn't feel like enough. And I thought like, why doesn't it feel like enough? And it's because I hadn't yet accepted that life happens in the middle. Like we spend most of our time not super high and not super low. We spend most of it at this contented level. Things happen that bring us to peaks, things happen that bring us into valleys, but in general, it happens in the middle. And it's not only with our moods and with our happiness, it's with like arguments and debates in society. Everyone is so polarized lately, especially lately with everything that's going on in the world. Like everyone has an opinion. You're either for or against somebody. You either like a politician or you don't. You're either in support of gun control or you're not. You're either in support of abortion or you're not. You're either pro-vax or anti-vax. Like there's so many things that are separating everybody. But what so many people don't realize is that the answer to almost every polarizing issue in our entire world is somewhere in the middle. For example, are guns good or bad? Yes. In the hands of a police officer de-escalating an important situation, they are a very, very powerful tool. In the hands of a hunter going out to grab a meal to feed his family for a winter, they're good. In the hands of a criminal going into a school, they are not so good. Like is meat good or bad? Yes, there's all this argument between vegans and vegetarians and meat eaters and everyone. It's like, yeah, most people eat way too much meat, but the human animal is designed to eat meat, and there's certain nutrients that you can only get from eating meat. Like it's this whole polarizing thing, but it doesn't have to be polarizing because we have to accept that the answer is in the middle. And it's like that with so many things. I could go on and on and on, but it's just I found that interesting, and I find it fascinating how many people forget that. People immediately have to argue because their extreme viewpoint makes more sense to them, and people and I think it just splits people apart for no good reason. It just drives a wedge between people when the reality is that life just happens in the middle. And if we can all be okay with the fact that life happens roughly in the middle, I mean, we can lean one direction or the other, but we got to remember when we see these extreme viewpoints and these extreme ideas and these extreme opinions that the reality is that somewhere in the middle is the answer. And when we're feeling these extreme feelings, these extreme ups, these extreme downs, and like sometimes when I'm in a really down state of mind, I crave to get to that high extreme, but I don't have to. All I have to do is get back to the middle somewhere, and everything's going to be okay as long as I hang out in the middle. So get a little more okay with being in the middle, because that's where life happens. That's where the real juice in life is. That's where we live. That's where life happens. And if you can be okay with it being in the middle, if you can be okay with just being content and satisfied, then I feel like life is going to be a lot easier and a lot happier. Anyway, I'm running out of things to say. I feel like I'm rambling. This is my first YouTube video in a very, very long time, so I'm kind of out of practice, but I will speak to you again very soon.